welcome to this CodeBuddies.org live coding hangout. By joining or scheduling a hangout, you can ask questions, work through tutorials, share ideas, and pair program on open source projects. Today we're going to be doing a couple of experiments during this live code hangout. It's, for what it's worth, it's not a tutorial. We're just going to make mistakes, read the docs, scratch our heads together, hopefully, if the chat picks up. So the idea of this sustainable urban design space project is to kind of take inspiration from city simulation games like SimCity or City Skylines, which lets you kind of experiment with different city designs and provide basic services to, create a thriving urban environment. We're going to take those game-like design approaches and try to build an urban design tool for actual cities. Initially starting with some analysis tools of existing city data. We're looking maybe at OpenStreetMap data to get a sense of how walkable a city is, how many amenities there are within a certain radius of any point in the city. So today we're going to try a basic scaffolding of a basic user interface for the sort of game design in editing environment to fit into. Previously, we've worked on an urban design pattern library. That pull request was merged. Let's see. Approved and merged. Just let me double check our GitHub. And we've got documentation pull request in progress. So we've got, making some good progress. The urban design pattern gallery basically documents things that are commonly found in urban environments to solve specific problems. Like if you want to reduce congestion at an intersection, and also maybe reduce traffic incidents and fatalities at an intersection, you could put in a roundabout. It's been shown that roundabouts allow traffic to flow more smoothly through intersections, and when there are traffic like collisions or incidences, they're at a lower angle of impact and a lower velocity than somebody coming through an intersection at full speed and kind of T-boning another car. So things like that, you want to find a problem, identify a problem in your urban environment, congestion, health, walkability, and then try to fix that pattern, that problem by applying common patterns or innovating new patterns. So, to my knowledge, there is not an online sort of archive or collection of these urban design patterns that are freely licensed and include media and images and potentially references to actual locations where you can check those out. So welcome to this stream, and if you've got any questions or comments about the project, do feel free to offer them up in the chat. It's definitely an Ask Me Anything. It's not necessarily, I don't have a strict agenda here or anything. It's an experimental stream. We're forming a little bit of a roadmap though, and trying to figure out, lay the foundations to make this an open source project and make it sustainable. We're committed to being 100% open source. And financially, as well as getting contributors in various backgrounds and skills. You don't have to be a coder to contribute. And this is actually closed now. Mm, 43. Very cool. So that's nice. Our milestone 0.1 is coming along. Actually, this is where I can find. So we've got a bug. We're having troubles. We're trying to localize the app, and that way it's just out of the box, ready for different locales. Urban design is a kind of a global issue. We're globally interested in making our lifestyles and our planet and our urban environments sustainable. That means we need to localize not only the tools in people's languages, but also the design patterns and the applications. They're very context-based. Not the same urban design pattern doesn't necessarily work in every urban environment. So this is what we're going to work on today. I just want to scaffold the user interface, and if we have some time, we're going to do some experiments with querying OpenStreetMap data and looking for nearby amenities, so for a walkability factor analysis. And there's some interesting projects I want to build on in the background. Essentially, one approach I was thinking about today and previously, without getting too far afield, but is to create like a heat map. So it's like a raster grid of, like these are very small squares, 1 meter or less. And for each kind of amenity, whether it's bars or grocery stores or rail stops, there's a value of like how many of those there are in proximity to that. We'll have to figure out what the underlying value is. And what people can do in the suitability analysis for various things, you can apply different weights. So if you want to be, in this case, living away from bars but have lots of grocery stores around, and maybe you do want to take the tram, you can start to see pockets of the city that meet your particular needs or goals, in problem areas too. For example, if you want to look at traffic congestion or pedestrian safety or areas that don't have access to grocery stores, for example, you could say, well, these red areas they're kind of becoming a food desert. We need to intervene there. So this is the analytical part of the urban design platform we're building, and we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Honestly, we are doing our best to look at what's out there and exists and build on the kind of wealth of tools and software and data that are available in the open geospatial movement. So we'll more than likely be experimenting with GeoTrellis. We also want to approach this in a somewhat lean manner. We don't want to just throw everything in there, but because some of these things are very complicated to work with. And also that makes it harder for developers to get started. But because you're mixing different languages, and if we just wanted to set up a GeoTrellis, and well, the docs aren't even working. So that's again on the side. I will just link to it in the issue for suitability analysis just while I'm here. Yeah, and it does. It's like on-the-fly calculations. So I understand why sometimes you're going to be using Java and C++ libraries that are just really optimized for this. Even in Python, when you're doing numerical computing with NumPy, for example, you're going straight to C code. You have a Python API, which is nice, but underneath it, the code is just heavily optimized. So for this prototype UI, I'm going to try something out. I'm not committed to any particular solution at this point. I just want to and I should just start with a sketch, to be honest. So let's actually do that. But we're leaning heavily towards using Vue.js and some of these component libraries for Vue. I can't remember the specific one now that I've started to type. It's not Vue. Vueify is really good, but Quasar. It seems to be a strong candidate. And there's a framework neutral component library. I'll have to think of the name of it. I'll just say I really just don't want to use React. And we're going to have to get into JavaScript, and we're going to be doing things with data binding and state management more than likely, because this is it's not just displaying a catalog of data or blog posts. It's going to be dynamic data fetching from the server and stuff like that. So this is a good candidate project for a more robust JavaScript framework. And I'm just not really inspired by I've read a lot and just continue to read React code and discussions around React, and I know it's got a lot of mindshare, and there's some really beautiful and excellent projects coming out of that ecosystem. But just something about, I don't want to learn JSX, and I'm not even so certain I want to go down the TypeScript path. But in any case, I don't like. It seems like a really low level API and very limited library and scope, and integrating all these other components becomes more. You just start to spend so much time to assemble your own framework. So I'm kind of hoping to get something that embraces, just regular web languages more. Not putting everything in JavaScript. HTML and CSS are really still valid, and those types of code should be normally separated. Procedural from declarative, from constraint-based. Design code should be separated conventionally. Historically, we've realized this since at least the PHP days, that when you start to mix in a bunch of imperative code, imperative logic with declarative markup, things start to get really tangly. And the freedom that Vue and JSX give the JavaScript developer, I think, is like a foot gun. You just mix all this imperative logic into your JSX templating semantics, and it's also really alienating to a whole bunch of people who could otherwise approach web development. I believe its greatest disservice is that the learning curve prevents a lot of people from getting involved with web development and bringing their ideas to life. So we're going to pick very beginner-friendly technology and technologies that have an ethos that respects and prioritizes the developer experience over, say, performance optimizations or things like that you would typically need in like a large-scale organization. This project may not ever become popular at all, so we certainly don't know that we'll ever get like Facebook level user base, or even just feature complexity, for example. So performance optimization is just a really premature thing right now, but developer experience isn't, because we're going to be developing from day one, and we want new developers to join the project from day one. So that's why I'm leaning towards Vue, if we use a front-end framework at all. And there is a neutral one. Anyway, okay, so that's an aside. We've got our thing. I'll just show you the Quasar docs, though. It's pretty nice. I don't know how. It seems like it's relatively actively maintained. That's always a concern with adopting an open source project, is building your app and product around it. We've been burnt a little bit with Meteor.js. It had a lot of momentum, in 2014 when we started building this Jerry Life project, but that's just really tapered down. 2015, I guess. The nice thing about some of these. So that's why we're using Django on the back end. It's mature. It's been around for 14 years. It's not a fly-by-night operation. It's also governed by a foundation, but we need some kind of client-side framework, so we're going to have to look at those. And this is nice because it allows you to do a single-page app, but also you could just sprinkle in progressively enhancing views and where you need. Sort of doing hybrid modal apps too, if we decided to go iOS or Android style tablet interfaces. So yeah, it looks really promising. And there's another project that's been around for a long time. That they're really strong advocates for web components. They were originally an Angular only project, but now they've broken away from Angular in version 4. I just can't remember the name. I've looked at Polymer. This is sort of, I kind of think they've made the same mistake React did and went with JavaScript template strings, which still mixes your template logic in JavaScript. So unfortunately, I'm not taking that seriously. I do admire the Polymer project for being like treating web components as first-class citizens. Ionic, that's the one I'm looking for here. So I have been looking at these over and over and over again. So check out Onsen, but just something I'm not excited about. React. Angular seems like really a lot of boilerplate. And this is like also can turn very, like Apple versus Android type thing. It's not really about, I'm not trying to be confrontational here or unconventional or, I know people get really invested in these. I do think the web platform is super important. And web components are, it's really good to be invested in building on those, and that's what Ionic chose to do. It's a really nice framework too, so let's just put that in the mix. I've got to take one of them today. They have React and Angular integrations for Ionic, so I will be looking primarily at Quasar first. And Ionic are planning to do actually a Vue.js officials, documentation support. But they're waiting for Vue 3 to land, which is on the horizon. And I don't blame them because the Vue API is under backwards compatible rewrite currently, but it's not been without controversy. Anyway, Ionic does currently have, Ionic 5 I guess does currently have support for Vue, and it's just not very well documented or tested, so I think I encountered bugs. I tried it one day to kick the tires on Sin. This one seemed interesting, and it's got a lot of cross-framework support, which is really good. That way people can get beyond these framework wars, I think, or they're not even frameworks in some cases, they're like libraries, but one thing I admire about the Python ecosystem and the Python data science ecosystem in particular is the cohesion and like the emergence that cohesion allows. Not everything is harmonious. There is some wheel reinvention going on, and experimentation. That's diversity. It's a prerequisite for evolution. But at some point, you've just got to kind of be consistent and build up rather than sprawling out. And I think JavaScript community have a really big problem with sprawling out and not building up, and like abandoning things and leaving this trail of debris behind for just the things just a couple of years old just get thrown aside. React certainly has come to the forefront and been around for several years, so I commend that. Vue's not brand new. It's been around for a little bit. It's coming to fruition. So these components look nice. It's JavaScript. What were we seeing? What I'm looking for is a framework that how you do layout of a page, and let's go ahead and get let's take a look at this. Yeah, so these are web components. I reckon. Interesting. I don't know. We're not at this point yet. Let's sketch out the UI. Again, my intuition is just pulling me towards Quasar framework. One thing I was going to check out the contributors graph. That has been a determining factor in, for example, selecting a CSS framework. But look at this. This is exploding. So we've got 1, 2. Let's just set the bar at 15 commits in a year or something. I don't know, 212 or just 15 commits. Because this is since 2016. Let's see who's active in 2020 with 15 or more commits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And not every commit is equal. Some people have a few commits, but a lot of lines changed. So that's not a super accurate metric. It's hard to get a whole idea of the sustainability of projects, but a good sign is when you have more than one active contributor. And this seems to meet that criteria. Documentation is another good thing. So I'll just show you a quick glimpse at the widget before we start sketching, I suppose. Where's the interactive component browser? And it seems to be financially viable, so that's a good sign. So I get a blog, get a chat, forum, and donation. How do I get to the docs? Did I miss it? Get started. Yeah, they have pretty clean docs. Is nice. And here are stuff like layout and grid. This is what I'm after basically. And they have these drawers, which I think is going to be like foundational. They have a layout builder too. Q header, Q footer. Might as well get them all. Navigation tabs. I don't know. Continue. Okay, you can see. And if you think about game design, you have these user menu bars that have important tasks and icons there. So yeah, we might not need tabs along the top. I don't know how the design will come to fruition, but you can collapse the sides. That's cool. I believe it even when there's footer reveal too. Yeah, so we could have icons in the footer, I believe. Oh no, that's for the border. I don't know how all this works. Just randomly clicking. Oh yeah, so it'll overlay the doc or it'll push it out. Interesting. Yeah, let's continue. And then it gives you the copy and paste code. So that's pretty slick. I could just start right away scaffolding the layout. Let's just go ahead and sketch this, and we'll kind of commit this in our design docs folder. It's kind of a low-level tool for sketching UI, but anyway. So let's just say we have a window. Or I could treat this as the window. Let's see. So, and let's just say we're running on a tablet. Let me change the document properties here. It'd be nice if this had to. Will be a 16 by 9. Let's see, let me look at common display. Uh, 16 by 9 is what we're after, I believe. Or 720 is fine, probably. Look, is that? Yeah, I guess that's. I don't know, I kind of like that. Easier on the eyes, at least. Okay, we need the page border. All right, so. A couple of ideas would be to have sort of a user bar, like a utility bar down here. And if we look at games like City Skylines, maybe SimCity, but City Skylines has most of the kind of lenses, the modal displays here. So you have a series of icons down here to switch in between, contexts. Shift D, Control D. Or you can just, it's kind of a nice one. Boing, 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 boing. Something like that. And we can do this. Whoa. We need a lock. Line and distribute. Yeah. So this is one sketch. Control Shift A. See if I can remember these. We want to align them middle with the first selected, and then distribute them evenly. Centers equidistantly. Something like that. And then we can scrunch that down a little bit. Yeah, you kind of get the point though. It's like different modes, and these will actually trigger context changes up here. You'll have a base map, so let's just go ahead and sketch these component, and I'll give it names. We'll call this layout option 1, and I'll just put some text in there. Think about, no, it doesn't have that. Need a text box. So, well, actually, just click and then change the size. So what do we have? Font size might be like 72 map. Oh, geez. Keyboard shortcuts. The primary interface is just a map, though. That's the point here. Center and center. All right. Excellent. I'll have to have a small break in a moment to get some tea ready. And the idea is, if you look at a GIS tool, just like QGIS, I don't mean this to be critical of QGIS, but this is just a tendency in geospatial things. The interfaces are kind of, well, they're really complicated. And you have to have like almost a college degree to understand how things are working. And the user interface is designed around like GIS concepts, sort of like geometrical data formats, and just a bunch of stuff that's implementation specific. It's specific to like how the thing is implemented, but not what people are trying to achieve. And that's a key distinction. The idea of user-centered design starts from the other angle. It starts at what people are trying to achieve. Designs interface based on those concepts and metaphors and activities, and implements that, but the implementation layer is abstracted. It's separate, and it doesn't leach in or bleed in to the interface if possible. And you can't always, sometimes people need to pan a map or something like that. So you will have some things there. Or adding labels. But yeah, this is actually pretty tame. The QGIS user interface can get much more. Like all these icons, and you're not using them most, like 90% of the time, which is another problem. And if you look at projects like Blender for 3D animation and 3D design, modeling and animation, it's notoriously had this very complex interface, but it's gone through iterations where they've simplified it and put, in fact, Blender 2.8 has a really great example of now it's getting sort of focused around what people are trying to achieve if you're modeling, and they've just redesigned user interfaces. Like the primary selling point of Blender 2.8 now, it's much more user-centered, and not power users like casual users. So you can see here they've got different tasks that you might be trying to achieve. It still has a lot of things you got to learn, but when you're sculpting, you have sculpting tools, and that's about all you see on what would be called like the toolbar. So we might similarly have different tools. So yeah, somebody saying we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here, but our toolbar might live on the. There's going to be fewer modes, and by modes I mean lenses, or that's also ambiguous, isn't it? Lenses by meaning like you're looking at the city from a transport design perspective, or a utility design, or looking at amenities like police and fire coverage and health centers and schools and things like that. Coming back to the excellent user interface design of cities' skylines, which was, I think, originally written here in Finland, in Tampere. And it's just photorealistic. It's really beautiful. It's a very inspiring and fun game if you're into city simulations. But let me show you their user interface. People are really focusing on the photorealism here. We're kind of focusing on a little bit different aspect. But yeah, they got like one main toolbar along the bottom, and when you switch into it, you have these what I'm starting to call urban lenses or something. So you've got utilities like water and electric, or fire and health, health and fire and police coverage, education and transport, open spaces and parks. And we've actually started down a list of the ones we want to implement first. And then you have information and informative views based on what people are wanting to see, and all the data are integrated, so you can switch between them. They can feed into one another. One of the first things we were going to look at is the zoning, which is foundational to urban planning. So zoning, and then you get into residential housing, and then you absolutely need housing, and as you can see from the RCI graph, you need nearby shopping, groceries, other convenience stores, and then of course you need jobs, various industries, and you got to have balance of those. And then you have certain things like public spaces that are absolutely essential to well-being and health and conviviality of the urban environment. So yeah, that's why we're really taking note from city skylines. I won't necessarily say we're going to design the interface exactly like that, and we don't know, for example, the RCI demands in certain things, or the city budget might never get into the user interface. Yeah, so let's see. We got lenses, so to speak, and I'll just call it lenses, and then the toolbar. And they can pretty much be wherever, but the toolbar is the task-oriented thing, and the lenses. Wait, let me think how to describe these even. Let's design the lenses. Let's say the lenses are going to go on the left sidebar, and then I'll put a text there. Maybe I should just duplicate this text because it's kind of annoying that I put a text and I got the cursor going, and then I go to change its size and I type. But then I'm not typing anymore because I'm off and interacting with it. I think that's kind of poor usability, but okay. Maybe there's some different way I could do that. You have to set the settings first and then click where you want to type. All right. I don't know which color this lens is. We'll rotate it, which is from the mouse. F1. And we might then have some room for other toolbars, but until we need those, I'm just not going to really include them. And I guess this map can kind of go, oops, down if I raise it, or lower, raise the toolbar or lower the map. I think this is what we're after, to be honest. So I just wanted to sketch it out and see what people think of it. We don't have any active chatters right now, so I'm just going to take the initiative on my own and start experimenting. You can kind of see what we're after now. There's not as many of these lenses as there would be, and the tools change contextually based on what lens you're viewing. I think this seems like a decent approach. So we want this to align center and distribute vertically on vertically. Pretty good. And I should provide a definition of this, but let's go ahead over there to our Celebrant Design space directory. We've got the app. Actually, this is going to go in design or something. We'll call this UI mockup. Just to have something there. Just trying to think how to document this in the mockup because we should include some context. Forgot to change the thing. Something like that. So it's interactive. That's kind of small, but oof. And then we'll just change the scale of it. Actually, from the text tool, I think you can change the text box dimensions. How does that work? How do we do this? If I do this, it's going to scale the text though. I don't want to skew it. See that? That's not what I'm after. Now, how do I change the text box dimensions after I've created it? It should be like right here, this little handle corner. But then it draws in a new one. I think that's an anchoring thing, dude. I mean, is it just me? I'm just a design tool idiot. Or it's not big. I'm not trying to be harsh on Inkscape. It's really good, but Inkscape. Apparently, other people are trying to figure this out too, and there's even dedicated videos to it. So obviously, it's not obvious. I'm not trying to be harsh. All right. The right corner, all right. All right, so it just seems like the frame should automatically be created when you do that, despite having not done, and I can't even get to it. There we go. All right, so let's try it again. Now I've got a frame. So why didn't I get the frame here? It's kind of weird. That's a gotcha, I would say. I'm gonna have a bunch of text boxes floating around. All right, so the problem is these are off canvas. They're off the sheet. So if I export a ping file, these are gonna get cropped out. So let me just bring them in there. All right, so you gotta do like this. You gotta draw the box, and then you can change it. And then I have to click the font size up to like 48. I think it's me, but also the Inkscape's really poor, just text handling. 48? No. Now I'm selecting it beforehand, but then it's... Oh, I see. This is transport network planning, perhaps. Transport planning, zoning, well, how about just a couple of them? Good. Make it a little bit more narrow. Why would everybody have the same font size? Yeah, I'm not going to justify it. I think we're looking good. So, I don't think I'm working in a branch. I am. However, it's the wrong branch, and it's not picking up my changes. Let me go ahead and push back to master. Bunch of code buddies. Yeah, okay, it's the image structures. Not in my git ignore. The media. Folder. That's weird. I have two remotes, I guess. Let's go and revert all these changes. It's fine deleting the files. And this has changed a little bit. Maybe, or I didn't notice that. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and create a branch. Let me refresh our master branch. Make sure we get all the latest. Before we dig in too much, I'm just going to brew a little bit of green tea. It takes a couple minutes. Put my tea timer on there. And I'll do the coding while the tea brews. So 1 moment, I'll be right back. Alright, got the hot water boiling now. Alright, it's actually not going to be boiling. It's about 70 degrees for green tea. I want to commit this to more or less the master branch. This is a good start. I will want to create a branch to experiment with this layout. So I'm just trying to think what would be a good way to do this. It's not really a good convention just to push straight to master, but in this case I'm going to kind of make an exception. There's not a lot of developers here. We'll have to figure out, we're trying to just keep everything in one repository, so that's another constraint we're facing. Where's my git ignore and all that good stuff here? Oh, I see what I did. Because here's the actual app. We're going to rename this repo to Sustainable Open Design Space. Okay. I just got to open that other folder. That's the deal, yo. And admittedly, I'm a little tired, which is fine. So the app, it's just confusingly named right now. We're just getting off the ground. So I'm just going to save this as, yeah. Save as. Let's export it as a ping, and we can embed it in our README. Yeah, I guess you can export a selection, so if I have stuff off the canvas, that's nice. You can just do that. Let me export this, and I'll go set up the T real quick. App design, mockup, ping. So we should see a couple files here. And if I open up this ping file, there we go. I guess it looks okay. Open this SVG. All right, so we're good to go. It's not supposed to be super artful. It's a low fidelity mockup. I should also mention we're with the lean principle. You start as low fidelity as possible. Make your increasingly complicated prototypes, working your way up to code, and getting user feedback along the way. Ideally, we just need to get this 0.1 release, and we'll try to start getting out the door and getting user feedback. I'll be right back. The tea is ready. The water's ready. Alright, thanks for staying around. One viewer. I'm not trying to go for super number of viewers by any means, but yeah, it's nice to, when the chat is active in particular. So I think we can just, again, commit and push this to master, and then create a branch to mock it up to start experimenting at least. Maybe I should put in a README also. is requirements. You need Python. We're trying to keep the requirements so simple along the way, but it's inevitably going to grow. T is now ready. Yeah, we shouldn't really be using headers for sort of instructions. I'll come back to this. Let me get my tea real quick so it doesn't overcook, and I'll be able to get 2 teapots out of 1. Sort of batch, reusing the green tea. I'll be right back. Yeah, just cleaning up the README a little bit. This shouldn't be. Oh, on Mac OS X it's apparently an issue. I wonder why if they're doing // Yeah, that's why. Man, it was convenient, but so we did this. This is actually part of running the server. So once you get those Python dependencies installed, oops. I mean, these are good instructions. Really glad to have them. So, but in order to create a super user, you have to have already run these migrations. Then we'll create the super user. Then we can start to, and I'm just going to say Python. It's not too hard to type Python. In fact, you can just type the first couple letters and hit tab, and it'll automatically do it for you. All right. Contributors can be a 2, and support can be a 2. We should only have one header level 1. I think that's good. So we'll just reorganize the README, and then I'll add a mock-up, the screenshot. So people, that's what, like, the main question we're getting is like, I don't know what this project is. I don't know where to start. And honestly, we don't know yet either. It's really unfolding, and we have some basic design guidelines and goals, but we're really open to feedback. So that's what I'm saying. We don't need, it's not just code contributors we have contributors of all stripe. If you're a designer or if you're an urban designer or just have ideas or want to even just try the software and find bugs and report them, that would be really cool. Translators are needed. Lots of ways to get involved here. Let's go ahead and just, let's go up at the top. What is this? Yeah. A user interface. Something like that. I don't want to be too redundant. So to do, all we need is the image. I'm not even sure what to call this right now. And then that's under design / UI mockup dot ping. Let me just rename that so I can copy and paste it. I think that should work. What if I do a markdown preview? Yeah, woo, it's pretty big, but okay. Should scale down on GitHub. All right, we'll just push these up and get to cracking. We're gonna start our coding adventures. What are we at? 1 hour in, so that's good. We started with a little bit of mock-up. Did a little research on JavaScript frameworks, UI component frameworks. I'm just not aware of a native UI web component framework that, again, is just sort of agnostic of any React or Angular or any kind of project like that, or Polymer even. I don't know if I'm asking the wrong questions, though. Oh, what did I change? I don't know what even changed. Oops, cancel that. Oh. So when you export it, Inkscape adds a little metadata there. Interesting. Well, I'm not going to check that in. Cool beans. I'm thinking this should go in just an experiments folder until we get a clear sense that this is the right way to go. So I'm going to create yet another project folder. All right, now here's where we're going to start reading some docs. So I can scaffold the layout. I don't know if it'll be too similar, and it might immediately be sort of incompatible with this design mockup. Like having just a partial width toolbar. They're calling it a footer, and I don't know that the footer is intended to be contain UI elements or interactive elements. So that might be something. Something to consider. when I did look at the layout gallery, they can emulate a lot of different layouts here. And this is more or less what I'm thinking, like a Google Photos type thing on the left sidebar where you have your kind of lenses. And maybe the toolbar can be up top. It's not too bad, I think. Yeah, I think we'll just not fight it. Just if it's already providing that, and a full width toolbar is cool too. The main thing is just I want to have, I think, this kind of metaphor, this kind of means of interaction. And this having a toolbar at the top is really common. I think I was just kind of following City Skylines a little too literally with that idea. All right, well, let's go ahead and see if they do have examples of like a bottom widget layout. Like down here, no. It's not very common in web design, I guess, in general. All right, let's see. So I got grid. And then they have components. Is there a footer form? Let me just see if I can search here for footer. The layout builder did give me some options here. Until we know we need the navigation tabs, we're not going to add them. And the right sidebar might be really interesting. For example, when you inspect objects, it could contain the result of queries. So I believe this, again, the left sidebar is going to be switching lenses. At the top, it's going to have hopefully an easy way to define our sort of our toolbar, and then the right can be a context-specific flyout menu for setting tool-specific options or viewing metadata of objects that you're inspecting, things like that. Where like a mouse, what would that be called? When you mouse over something, you can pop up a little tooltip of sorts. But then you can't interact with the tooltip. So yeah, we would want a way to interact with those. And this is also how Blender does it. It has a lot of, and the Godot engine. On the right-hand side, you've got your inspector, your property inspector. So I should maybe include that in the mock-up, come to think of it. So yeah, let me just include that in the mock-up. What would that be called? I'm just trying to think and switch tabs at the same time. Because it's not just a property inspector, it's actually a configuration. Recent SVG. So yeah, we've got the map, we've got a toolbar. I'm going to move the toolbar to the top now that we've seen the. Let me switch back to master. And the toolbar can be full width. In fact, it looked like it was. We're just going to change the color of these so they stand out just slightly. that snap. Alright, come on. Dude. Alright, so then what was that right thing? The right hand side would be sort of a, what does Godot call? Let's try to use their terminology here. Look at the Godot interface. I think Blender also has a word for it we can borrow from. Godot engine's really fun if you're interested in game development. It's a really great open source engine. Here we go. We got a viewport, workspaces, which are kind of like our idea of lenses in a way. You know, they got a much more refined interface. It's super nice though. It's really fun. They got tabs and inspector. Yeah, and in their inspector you can also change properties. So maybe an inspector is okay. Yeah, makes sense. And you can see the whole class hierarchy here. It's really an excellent game interface, game design engine, and integrated development environment. It's just fun to do. So let's just call this the inspector. Yep. What do they call it in Blender? Well, Blender is really flexible. I'm just going to go with Godot. I mean, you can make the layout however you want. So let's just go back to Inkscape, SVG editor, and in create. So just scoot this over a little bit, or F8, and change this to be a little bit more narrow. Alright, cool. So then we're going to have sort of a flyout. We're going to take that down a little bit. So the sort of toolbar on top is the topmost element. Where we're at, object. Lower page down does that. Okay. This is spilling off the page a little bit. What I probably need to do is just put a guide here at 0 and just snap it to that guide. There you go. Well, it's just a mock-up. It doesn't have to be super perfect. Sounds like it's working pretty hard. But you can also see it in Inkscape here, where we've got, what if I do, something like align and distribute, you've got these sort of inspectors going on here. What happened to everything? There it is. All right, looking a little bit better. Whoa. Looks good. Excellent. Just double check. All right, excellent. Green tea. All right, 1.5 hours. Let's spend no more than 30 minutes on this experiment, so not to get too fatigued, but have something, a good stopping point. I think the UI mockup is a great stopping point, to be honest, but I do want to kind of push a little further if possible. Some nagging kind of things with getting cut off. It's annoying. Aliasing. It's a mock-up. Alright, now there's like 2 or 3 ways of using Quasar. You can use, I think, from a CDN. You can just drop it into a page. You can use the Vue CLI, and you can use the Quasar CLI. I don't know. There's trade-offs. I think the recommended way is using the Quasar CLI. Oh, here they are. But it's really cool. You can do standalone universal module declaration. Babel, Webpack and Vue Loader. Right on a device emulator, real phone. Now that's pretty cool. And an Electron app. Because honestly, I think we're gonna sort of want to make this tablet friendly, mobile friendly. And maybe even work with like a Scribus on mobile. I think that would be really optimal. Let's give it a try. I hope this won't be too problematic. The Vue CLI is cool too, and they have this nice user interface, which is maybe a little bit of a crutch, but it's just an example of how they're like so user focused. I don't see if there's a screenshot of that, but in any case. No. So let's go with the Quasar, just for now. Okay, so we'll need to hop over to... Sorry. I didn't make any changes. No, good. Let's see, how do you... Well, anyway, we're probably using pretty close to the latest. That's, oh, NPM. All right. Now we're going to go into design. No, experiments. Quasar, create, and then you just go to folder name. It'll be called UI experiment. That's not mobility, but I've been doing sustainable mobility during the day time, but to urban design. don't know the difference. I'll go with the default. This is the perennial question. Do we want IE 11 support? Does Microsoft support IE 11? Who are our target users? Our target users are probably people in, like working for municipalities and whatnot. And if Microsoft still supports it, we would want to support it also. I don't know if we'll need state management. In a way, I think we will, because if we go back to this design, you can see, for example, these lenses are going to change state of the app, which would affect the toolbar buttons, and then the toolbar, clicking toolbar button would change state of the inspector widget. So I think we'll need a global state management for this. All right. I don't know. Another way to approach it. I'm not going to use TypeScript right now, but we would like to lint. What is Axios? Axios is for HTTP requests. Actually, I think we're going to want that because we're going to be dealing with server objects all the time. Yes, promise-based HTTP clients. So yeah, that's a key one. I don't want to do TypeScript, I'm sorry. I enjoy dynamically typed languages. All right, ready? I guess we just hit enter, right? And we'll use Prettier. Just like we're using Black for our code formatting on the back end, I think Prettier is kind of the de facto way people are doing it nowadays. Why is Yarn recommended still? What's the deal with Yarn? This would be nice at work. We have a bunch of repositories that are just like polluting our namespace, and if we could use the workspaces. All right, it's tied to no company. For some reason, I had it in my mind that Yarn was like mainly a Facebook thing. Also, let's check the sustainability. Where's the GitHub? Yarn GitHub. I could try it out. Oh, but that's a bad sign right there. No, 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 no. npm even open source? Bit of tapering as well. This is what I don't like, is having to do this analysis of your whole freaking build toolkit. I don't know if it's not JavaScript specific. Excuse me. Reddit? I wonder if there's a Hacker News discussion. Hacker News is not so supportive of just random discussions. Yeah, this was kind of surprising to me. When I ran pipenv install, it's running the updates as well. So that's kind of a change. Strange. Okay, because you're using different hashes. Makes sense. Yeah, Dev2 is a good community. Well, let's go. Let's just go for yarn. I don't know. It's recommended. Ooh. Okay, that's my fault. If you have to bootstrap it, but in any case. Oh, man. I think we're going to focus in on the analysis first. What? Oh, man. Control D. Control L. Yes. Product name. Description. And one was recommendation here. I don't know. Indented sounds good. Kind of Pythonic. This sounds a little magical. But convenient. And we want to be developer friendly. Alright, we want ESLint, we want Vuex, we want Axios, we want to localize and internationalize, and we want to support IE11. Microsoft still supports it. And I'm going to use Prettier. And using Yarn. Yay! No lock file. Very cool. No, this is like the first time I used Yarn in a few years, I think. Project I was working for over 3 years ago, I think. Anyway, they transitioned to Yarn towards the end of my tenure there. I don't know how that went, but in any case. Let me change the number. It's kind of, I don't know, it's scary, but the core quasar app dependencies are out of date. Oh, is Node 14 released? I thought 12 was the latest. Ah. Oh, right, because I was using an LTS version of Node for when I was doing Meteor stuff, Meteor.js, which is pretty cool, Meteor.js, although I was a little disappointed that the community just kind of evaporated. I'm going to start an issue here, and GitHub will automatically suggest if something maybe has been created that's similar. And let me see if they have the Quasar CLI actually has its own repo. Wouldn't surprise me. Let's search for it. So they should link. If it's deprecated, where do I go to report a bug for? Yes, this is it, yeah. I can see the difference here. Yeah, this is right installed. Good. Oh boy, now we're in the right place. Not a lot of issues there. watch you then. So then it did have some helpful information. I guess it said you're ready to go. Let's see. We have 41 new files. And I don't know what most of them are for. No problem, no problem. But we do have a git ignore, so it's going to be ignoring node modules and such. Yes, storing thumbs. Alright, well, I'll just have to trust that I'm going to be led down a gentle path, and we're at 1 hour and 48 minutes. So we've got about 12 minutes to get something up and running. We'll try just getting the layout scaffolded with that UI builder and call it good. Get some peer review on this, but it's essentially initial app scaffolding. We're in our branch. We're good to go. Yup. Now I have the layout builder here. So how do I even run it? Let's get that down first. Let's continue this. Pull request. Haven't pushed it. I want to create a draft. Alright, so we've created it, how it works, it did all this good stuff for us, and then we can so do I use yarn run? That's probably it. So I have to use npm maybe. So that's not correct. Okay. Huh. Oh, this is adding them. Oh, how do I'm kind of an idiot here, so I don't know what I'm doing. That's okay. Oh, you just type quasar dev. Ooh, pretty. It opens it in my correct browser. Nice. Ooh, shiny. Wow. Ooh, links to everything. They're using Discord. I bet they're using Discourse. Yeah, Discord and Discourse. You gotta have a little bit of balance. And yeah, we got recent updates, so it seems like it's a relatively active community. Yeah, I'm getting good vibes. So yeah, Quasar awesome. I love these awesome projects. Awesome things related to Quasar. I like the name Quasar. Isn't that pretty cool? Cool name. Ooh, nice. All right, we'll get off this, off the into the deeper whatever stuff in a while. But let's get at this. So, all right, we want a queue header, right? Or no? Yes. We want a queue footer. No. Left side drawer, yeah. And right side drawer, yeah. Navigation tab, no. Continue. What's this mean? Ah, this is cool. What does this do? It's kind of making me guess, but I think this means it starts open. This means it starts closed. The lowercase one. Dude. Oh, you get to play with layout, right? Header reveal. It's elevated. Nice. Oh, is this actually letting me play with it right now? We don't want queue tabs. We want a right side navigation drawer. Left side drawer and right side drawer. Cool. And then right side drawer starts collapsed and left side drawer starts open maybe. Oh. Dude. It's a little bit kludgy. It's a little bit funky. Go away. Huh. I wonder if these tabs actually would be a better, if they're icon tabs especially. A better way to switch to lenses. The thing is, it's taking a lot of vertical space on the top, but then the map could just have all this space. Kind of cool. I like it. Next. We'll drop the, or maybe we'll have the footer in there and we can have attribution and links to the project. Sounds good. Or would that be a drop down thing? Yeah. Attribution and links to the project in the footer. Oh, that tea is good. I'm not going to touch these. Something happened when I did that. I don't know what it was. Sorry, excuse me. like slide it off or something. Oh, when you're on mobile, you swipe it away. Oh, dude. I see. Alright, so we want to overlay the map. I think so. It's just smooth it that way so I can push the whole map over and make all those pixels jitter. This is cool. Alright, now I get it. You swipe it back away. Oh, not using that. Alright. We'll copy all this, and I think we'll just paste it in, and whoo, 10 minutes to the hour. Looking good. So lots and lots of things that were scaffolded in. I think we just mainly go to this app.view and look, we'll trace it down. It's got a router view, and it should have a default page, index page. Layout, maybe layout. Yeah, this is more or less where we're going to be putting ours. Oh, and it automatically includes the template tags. Makes sense. What was the problem? Let's try this again. Just reset it. There's no problem there. Oh, I think I see what's going on. So we got two scripts. There's one problem, so we don't need that. Oh, it's a linter complaining. Right, because they're manually importing them. There we go. Okay, so we have it running over here, and if I refresh, oh, it already refreshed it. Oh, that was cool. Dang. Oh, it was right here. What was that then? The footer changed, of course. Ah, I see it there. It's a span. We'll do a span so it doesn't make a block element. There it goes. I'll have to see if there's like margined things, and we don't have a logo yet. We'll work on that kind of stuff. If you're a designer, we'd appreciate any help there. I'll actually create an issue for that. And what is called the logo and mobile. Should be a design tag, I think would be nice. Design label. Yeah. Nice color too. Hey, where'd it go? There it is. Excellent. All right. So yeah, we'll need a nice logo. We'll stick with the default Quasar one for now. I'll just put some names in here to kind of give us an idea of what we're trying to achieve here. So we have the file menu there. I'm in mobile mode apparently. I didn't notice that. And this is interesting. We don't want to route to different pages necessarily. We're going to activate trigger events there. Let's just say something along those lines. I see. It just, this one confuses me. So, and model. I read the docs. Something's going on here. Q drawer. I'm English native speaker. I don't know how to pronounce that word. Drawer. So we'll use the components. Layout. And yeah, I want it to appear under the, maybe something I've changed on the header. So the export didn't go exactly how I was wanting to. This is why I was thinking the modes would be over here actually. Because I'm gonna have nice icons, you can collapse it. The lenses would be over here. I think that's the way to do it, to be honest. Okay, overlay. We do want it to overlay, but I don't want it to be above the menu. What's the difference? Why is the menu being... But okay. Let's just change this to... there it goes. Weird. Now it won't hover though. It's a little bit buggy, but I'm not gonna... sort of fight with it too much right now. It's really nice when it works though. Yeah, it looks really well documented, so I like that. Width, menu width. I think I just need this in my data model. Then we should be good to go. Here we are. Yeah, just basics, getting the basics. I'm learning the basics. I like it. So what do we do about that? Swipe that away. And what icons are available? Out of the box. I'm going to guess if we're using the material icons. Let's just try one. Was it underscore? Yeah. All right. I don't know if we need separators. There's probably some nice logical grouping here. Just putting it in there to give an example. Transportation, utilities. This is good. Land use could be dashboard. Utilities could be kind of trash. I don't know. We need a house. We need an environment to be up here with housing. Home. Safety. Education. I don't know if commerce is the right one, but essentially shopping cart. Food, I think. Oh, actually, warning would be better. ones were we lacking? Right. Environment and land use, housing, food, transportation, utilities, health, safety, and just education. And we'll call it good. So like a school or something like that. Now there was one up top there. And these aren't necessarily the final groups we'll come up with, but it's just to get our ideas growing. Something for school. There it is. I'm going to take one more look at this menu. I'd just like it to fly out. I think they had some of that in the examples. If we go back here. Layout gallery. That's essentially it right there, without the icons. Go to the code pin. So I think I just didn't set the correct behavior. Should be default or desktop. That will be good to go. Yeah. Should be refreshing soon. I see. So. Hidden by default, but it's just popping over the top. What's going on? Mobile mode. Let's do desktop. So I guess the default behavior is, there we go. Yikes. You know what I think is happening? I don't know what's happening. Let's see if the menu's overlaying it. No, it's not. is. Okay. Not sure exactly what happened. I think we can make... Header 2 was too big. If there's any font sizing utilities. It's a little bit weird why the inspector's off from the icon here. The text is off from the icon. That's not the case here. Good to go. Well, it came together nicely. We'll get an icon and scalable vector graphic, hopefully, to display, and the next time we'll probably get a map in here to show how that will look. The primary interface is the map, and these toolbars. When you switch contexts, you'll still need a toolbar. I'm thinking might appear up here, or like a tool palette, essentially. But we'll start with the analytical part of it, and then we'll figure it out. All right. We'll take it from there. Oops, there it goes. So we'll get these committed and pushed up. Excellent. So yeah, if you want to follow at home, try out our code. You can check out the related pull requests here. And an experiment, so we welcome feedback. Excellent. Well, went about 2.5 hours. Again, this has been a CodeBuddies.org live coding hangout. Appreciate any interest people are showing in the Sustainable Urban Design project. If you're interested in participating in open source projects in general, stop on by CodeBuddies.org. There's a lot of great sort of communities forming there and within the CodeBuddies community, and offering offering hangout sessions on everything from React development, learning computer science, data science. There's a lot of great discussions, and we're all kind of peer learning. So everybody's learning it alongside one another, and so everybody's got something to bring to the table. CodeBuddies.org is also being rewritten from the ground up, a new version of it. The current experiments are being conducted in multiple languages, but it's looking like the Django backend and React frontend are taking hold. A lot of interest, and contributors are coming around those projects. So if you want to get involved, you can go to codebuddies.com, or github.com/codebuddies. You can tell I'm a little bit tired tonight. All right, well, thanks again for joining this hangout. I hope you're safe and feeling all right out there, and have a great day.